can't wait to show you this, how you're gonna get rid of that horrible cramping at the inner arch of your foot, and that's about to happen now. You ever go to like point your foot, point your toes, and you can't, or your toes kind of get stuck there like lock toes, or you get that horrible cramping in the arch of the foot. Maybe you're in yoga class and they're like, no, rest in child's pose. And you go into your child's pose and you think it's gonna feel so good, but that pointing of the foot, of the toes, causes the arches of your foot to just cramp up so tight, and it's so painful. It's so painful, I know. So this question came up as a response to one of the videos on the restless leg playlist. So if you're having restless leg issues, definitely check out that playlist. Lots of good information about how to deal with that. This was someone who's like, well, what if I have restless legs in my ankles? And I asked that question, do you get those cramps in the arches of your foot? And she said yes. So I want to show how to get rid of the cramps in the arches of the foot, because I do think that's also a piece of that puzzle of having kind of restless ankles, or do you just want to kind of move your foot around at night as you're starting to rest. So I'm going to show you I'm going to show you where that cramping in the arch of your foot comes from, and then I'm going to show you how to release those muscles that make that happen. And it's actually really simple. You could use your hands, you could use a rod, you could use a rad roller, and you can just use a single ball. This is my favorite tool for releasing along that shin. I'm gonna show you real clearly how to use this rad roller. There's a link in the description of this video. You can get that from us, or the rad rod. So the woman who asked this question has a stick, a stick like this. So I want to show you where that lives. So see this arch right here, this inner arch, there's a muscle called Tibialis Anterior that comes up from that arch. And when I lift that arch up, you can see that tendon kind of pops out of my foot right there. And then that comes up and along the shin bone. So here's the shin bone in the very front of my shin, right here, that tibia. And then right along the top of it, just the first few inches right here, is my tibialis anterior. So I'm going to point to it. You can see when I lift my foot up strongly, you might be able to see that muscle, kind of contracts, and it lifts that arch. And then the muscles on the outer shin lift the outer arch. And when those muscle groups get kind of dysfunctional or unhappy with each other, out of balance in their tensional systems with each other, it can make the foot kind of want to flop around. We're going to do a little quick release in the calves also, because that's the opposite of those two opposites, right? Calves point the toes, right? These muscles lift the arches of the foot, so they're opposite the calves, and then they're opposite each other because that tibialis anterior lifts the arch of the foot. These outer shin muscles lift the outer arch of the foot. Put tensional imbalance in all that system, you're going to have an ankle that wants to flop around, and you're definitely going to get that horrible cramping in the arch of your foot. So let's take care of that right now. If you have a rod tool, super easy to use. You could use it starting in your calves. Just go up and down. This is a rad rod, one of my favorite tools. Super easy to use, right? Rolls around. You can wiggle side to side and back and forth. Oh, so good. And then you find some tender spots. You don't want to beat it to death, right? I always say that in my videos. Don't beat it to death. Be sweet with your body. You're trying to gain the trust of your nervous system so that you're not actually causing more tension. So I find a really tender line right there. I'm going to kind of wiggle on that spot. I might even move my foot around while I'm holding a spot. Then I'm going to flush it again. Whenever you find a tender spot, you can put a little pressure in it. This is one of my favorite calf tools because it's so simple to use. Now, once I get that, I'm going to point and flex. Just keep moving. I'm not going to do a hard point because I don't want to cause that arch to get all crampy. So then I'm just going to go up and down the outside edge with the rod. In just a minute, I'm going to show you with a ball too, okay? So we're just going to go up and down the outer edge. And then we're gonna go right along the shin bone. So I wanna show you that again. Here's that shin bone right here. I don't wanna roll on the bone. I wanna be just off to the side a little bit, but I'm gonna stay way up high. Right here is tibialis anterior. That's the muscle that causes the cramping in the inner arch of the foot when you point your toes or when you go into child's pose. So I'm kind of rolling up and down there. Feel it's a little tricky. So I might go side to side. I'm gonna anchor that rod and wiggle it side to side, go up and down. Now, because the rod is a kind of broader, flatter surface, it's not gonna be quite as specific as the rad roller or a single ball itself. Point and flex, I'm already feeling a lot more flexibility all around that ankle, all around those muscles, and all around my calves and my shins. So now I'm gonna take that rad roller. Double ball rad roller, I love the green one. It's one of my favorite tools in the world, okay? So I'm gonna show you on this other side, you're gonna place a yoga block on the floor just like that. And then this rad roller goes on the shin bone. So that shin bone where I showed you in the front, that shin bone goes in between the two balls on the rad roller. And then you just come to all fours and you can kind of roll up and down. Ooh, so good, right? So first I'm just going up and down and I'm straight in kind of in all fours. Now when I really want to focus the work on that tibialis anterior muscle, if I'm working my left side, I'm gonna shift my hips over to the left. So I'm gonna face the camera quickly so you can see what that looks like. I come to my all fours and then I shift my hips off to the left, and that drives that tibialis anterior directly into that ball. And that is very exciting and spicy. And so now I'm going to turn back because I want you to see that one really fantastic way to work with that is to get in that tibialis anterior, sit off to that side, and then point and flex. Woo! When you flex like that and you're kind of engaging that muscle, it might get a little more interesting and exciting in sensation. So I'm going to keep doing that for a little bit. What you'll find is that your range of motion will improve while you're doing that movement. I still have my hips leaning off to the left. Now, you can explore, right? There's usually kind of one main trigger point right along there, just a couple inches down from the knee. You could explore. You could kind of roll up and down a little bit, keeping those hips off to the side beyond where you're rolling. But that's it. That did it for me. That cleared that spot. So whenever you're releasing those calves, the shins, you want to just take a little time afterwards, do a little point and flex, do a little rolling of the ankles, get some mobility in there. Now, if all you have is a single ball, like this single myofoam ball, you can try another way to do it. You could just sit like this on the floor with a leg crossed in front of you, and then slide that bone right there, right under that shin, right? So here's the top of the shin, here's where that muscle lives on the top. My feeling is that this works pretty well. Sometimes I find I want to kind of lift up a little bit to get some pressure right at 90 degrees to that tissue. So I kind of lift myself up. Not everyone is going to have that strength and ability to hold themselves up like that. But you could just sit down. That might be plenty good for your body. To just have that foot kind of in front of you. You can hold on to that foot, slide it back and forth using that single ball right along. We're really close to that front line of the shin as you can get with that ball. Sliding that, staying up high in that shin bone, and then find a tender spot, sink in, do your little point and flex. That's going to make it a little more exciting. Point and flex, point and flex. Keep breathing, keep relaxing your body. Adjust the ball if it slides. So, releasing that cramping in the arch of the foot, you've got to release that muscle tibialis anterior. And if your foot kind of doesn't know which way it wants to go, you'll want to also release the outer side along the shin. You'll also want to release the calves. The rod is an excellent tool for releasing the calves, great tool for that outer shin. I prefer the rad roller for along that tibialis anterior. Nothing works as good as that rad roller, I think, for releasing that area. You can get away with a single ball if that's what you've got. So I'm Cat Matlock here at FreeBody, and if this helps you, I'd really love for you to drop it in the comments. And for that sweet lady who asked me for some help with her restless ankle syndrome, let us know. Drop us a comment. Let us know if this helped you, and if you've been having that cramping in the arch of the foot, please drop a comment. We'd love to know. Thanks for watching.